Hi doctors, how are y'all doing today? My name is Maya and I'm a medical student in Cuba. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, I make content about studying in Cuba, life in Cuba as a student. And so if this interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video if you enjoy it, and comment down below any video ideas or suggestions or criticism that you want me to know about. So in today's video, I will be talking to you about the grading system in universities in Cuba. So first of all, the basics. Grades range from 2 to 5 in Cuban universities, with 2 being the lowest grade and 5 being the highest. The direct translation for these are 5 is excellent or excelente, 4 is good, bien, 3 is regular, regular, 2 is a fail, suspenso. That's not funny. So throughout the progression of the year, you will be given obviously these grades from a lot of different factors, and you will have a final grade based on all of those factors. So what are those factors? There are a lot of them. Class attendance and participation, homework, both graded and ungraded homework, practical classes, extracurricular activities, positions of responsibility, written tests, oral tests, midterm exams, and final exams. All of these factors are ranked highly in the determination of a student's grades. So, class participation and attendance. Class attendance is super important because you're only allowed to skip 20% of the classes. If you skip class any more than that, you automatically fail the subject. Suspenso. So if a subject has 26 total hours of classes, you can only skip 5 hours and 12 minutes max. That is 5 classes, because what's 12 minutes? That is assuming that maybe you have 1 class per week for the semester and each class lasts 1 hour. You only have 5 classes that you can miss. You cannot skip any more of those unless your reasons for skipping class are justified, and I mean properly justified. Like if you have some kind of medical condition, like I don't know. I'm a medical student and I can't think of any medical conditions. Anyways, if you have some kind of severe medical condition that doesn't allow you to go to class, or that means you have to stay in the hospital on bed rest or something, or if you had to go to a consult a few times because maybe you have some kind of allergies or something, which is kind of common in Cuba. So if your absences are justified, the school will be lenient with you and will maybe let a few more absences pass, but you need to show them, you need to give them proof of that justification. Like if you had to go to the hospital, you need to give them a slip that was signed by the doctor who consulted you, or maybe from the doctor that was taking care of you while you were in bed rest at the hospital. Class participation is also super important because it allows your teachers to look at your effort, look at your commitments towards their subject. Don't be scared to raise your hand to speak. Even if you don't get an answer right, or if you think it's subpar in your head, just raise your hand and say it out loud. Even if it's wrong, your teachers will appreciate you having the courage to raise your hand and to say the answer. And if you get it wrong, they'll correct you. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So just, be free. Just because of participating, whether your answer is wrong or right, your teacher could give you a higher grade as a form of appreciation to your courage. And that's pretty cool. Homework. You always have to do your homework. I feel like a teacher saying this right now, like some kind of parent, but no, for real, you always have to do your homework, because even if you don't really learn anything from it, your professors will look at your commitment, the effort that you put into actively trying to learn their subject and the content within their subject. And what better way to physically show them that than by doing your homework? Even if maybe you don't get all the answers right, your teachers might evaluate you more highly because you put in the effort to actually finish your homework, whether it's graded or ungraded. So, practical classes. Practical classes are classes where each student is actively evaluated. So participation is crucial. Even if you're just answering like one question and that's it, you need to participate. Like just say something or do something. The way these are set up usually depends on the professor and their method of teaching or on the nature of their subject. For example, for chemistry, what we usually did was in pre-med, she would give us homework or like activities to complete before class, before our session. And in class, she would have some students go to the board and answer the question, or she would ask a question and she would call someone's name, or people would raise their hands and whoever she picked had to answer the question. And if they got it wrong, maybe she would call on someone else, or maybe she wouldn't and she would just like start explaining the right answer. But in, for example, aprender, our practical classes were kind of different. So for chemistry, we had practical classes on content that we already knew, that we had learned maybe a few classes before. But for aprender, it was like a new class, and we were kind of like evaluated while we were learning that new content. So basically it was kind of a way to make sure that we were paying attention and that we were on our A game. Sometimes practical classes can be like just strict evaluations, like writing a test or something. It really varies on the professor, what they believe they should do, and the nature of their subject. In pre-med, we had practical classes pretty often, almost as often as regular classes, if not more. And so because we were always being evaluated, we had to make sure that we were on top of our game. At the end of each practical class, the professor would read out every single student's grades out loud. Yes, out loud. That is, every single person knew your grade. And they would tell you why your grade was that and how to improve, which is helpful. So another factor that contributed to our grades is written tests. So written tests, aka pregunta escrita, are basically like short questions that the teacher will either dictate to you or she will write them down herself on like a small piece of paper like this. And so you have to answer that question. Maybe it will be one question, maybe two, but a very small amount of questions because y'all can see how small this piece of paper is. So written tests, I don't think they're usually hard, but the issue is that maybe the written test is on a specific subject that you're not very good at, you're not very familiar with. Maybe you don't understand it the way you'd like to, or you just don't like it because there are certain topics people don't like in general. I don't like a lot of topics. It's just normal. So if one or both of the questions come out on that specific topic that you're not very fond of, or that you're not very familiar with, then it kind of sucks because you're more likely to get it wrong than if it were a topic that you knew by heart. And since it's just like one or two questions, you only have one or two chances to get it right. That means you either pass or fail, like there's no in between. And that could make it hard. It depends on your perspective because it's just two questions, one or two questions. To some people, it might be like, okay, that's nothing. To others, because of the issue I was just talking about, it might be like, oh shit. Oh, I can't say that. Oh, wow. I don't know, they might panic. So it just depends on each person's perspective, each person's like strengths and weaknesses, their strong and weak topics. And so oral tests. Oral tests are basically like regular class, So oral tests. Oral tests are basically like regular class or like practical classes in the sense that all you have to do is participate. It's the same thing. The only difference is compared to like a regular class is that the teacher will tell you that you're actively being evaluated, like a practical class. What could be different is the way the professor conducts these oral tests. So they could maybe like go through old content, go explaining old content as if they were teaching, and just ask questions as they go through to random students that they pick, and have those students like answer the question and then keep going if they got it right, or maybe reiterate it if they got it right, or if they got it wrong, give the right answer and just keep going. Or they could just get in class and just start asking random questions out of nowhere without even going through the content, because you're supposed to know it, supposedly. So the methods of doing these are relative to the professors. Guys, I'm sorry about like the fuzz. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like the quality is not the best because
nighttime and my room isn't super duper bright, and I don't like, I film with the front camera, and the back camera is obviously better, but I don't have like a tripod. I don't have like a way to make sure that I'm like centered in the frame. I'm not even 100% sure I'm centered right now, but like it's good enough, I think. So I'm sorry about that. Yo siempre te hago con consistencia, dile que se retira a su diligencia, porque volví por ti, para hacerte lo bendigo como te gusta a ti, ponte en cuati, te la saco como la haces a ti, te montaste en la jipeta y no tenía panty.
Really sorry about that. Not even joking. Te montaste en la jipeta y no tenía panty. I plan to improve a lot of things as I keep progressing with my YouTube career. That sounds cringy as hell. Yo sé que al final recuerda de tu cuerpo sé yo, mami, cada rincón, por dentro y por fuera. Midterm exams. Why do I keep doing that? Midterm exams, aka PEACE, aka prueba intersemestral. So basically, these are midterm exams, like I said, and they're taken about 1 month or so before the semester is supposed to end. And they're super duper important because obviously they're midterm exams. Midterm exams are important in all schools, all universities, and they're obviously meant to measure a student's progress throughout the semester. And these are super important. Why? Because if you fail, you fail. Not that you fail the subject, because you could still like redeem yourself with the other evaluations that I mentioned previously, and the final exam, if the subject has a final exam, which most, at least in pre-med, most of the subjects that we had midterm exams for did not have a final exam. That's why they're super important. If you get a 2, you cannot retake the exam. A 2 is a 2, it's a dos, and you're done. You just have to hope that all the other factors, everything else you've been doing throughout the semester, helps you with your grade, helps pump that 2 to maybe a 3 or a 4. Maybe even a 5 if you're an excellent student overall. Final exams. Final exams are self-explanatory, like midterm exams. In Cuba, these are called exámenes ordinarios, or ordinary exams. Most of the subjects that we had a final exam for, we didn't have a piece for, a midterm exam for. So with the final exams, unlike the midterm exams, you have 2 more chances after the examen ordinario. These are also super important because obviously they're your final exams, but they do not determine your final grade. But if you, take note of what I'm saying right now, if you get a 2 in an examen ordinario, in a final exam, that's your first try, right? You can retake the exam. It doesn't matter. They're gonna change the questions, I think. I'm pretty sure they'll change the questions, or maybe like structure the exam differently. And so you can retake the exam. And that second try of the exam is called an examen extraordinario. So basically it's an extraordinary exam. If you pass, great. If you fail, if you get another 2, you have one last try. And that's the examen mundial. If you fail the examen mundial, it doesn't matter what grade you got throughout the whole year, throughout the whole semester. And it doesn't matter what grades you got in the other subjects either. Because if you fail the Mundial, you basically fail the whole year and you have to repeat the year. The thing is, you don't have to repeat all the subjects. You just repeat the subjects that you failed. And if you fail again after repeating the year, after repeating the subjects that you failed, you're done. Like, the school will expel you, which kind of sucks, but it's the way it is. Extracurricular activities, they're extracurricular. The ones that I'm talking about, the ones that affect your grade, are extracurricular, but they're kind of curricular in the sense that they would be things that you do that aren't related to the curriculum like directly, but that would like strengthen your knowledge or your commitments to certain subjects. For example, doing research, doing like creative projects, awareness campaigns, I don't know, stuff like that. They could help, not as much as all the other factors I mentioned, but they could help with your grade if your teacher notices this commitment to these projects that you start, and if it helps you directly with your grades. It improves your grades. Last but not least, positions of responsibility. So, positions of responsibility aren't really important, and I don't think anyone should do them if they are not interested, because it is a lot of responsibility. People like the class monitors or the class representatives are basically responsible for all the students in their class. Their progress in the subjects or in all subjects, if it's a representative, their issues both in and out of school, how they learn, why they aren't learning, whether they're contributing to the class, whether they're contributing to campus life, etc. Since you have a position of responsibility, like you're below the teacher, below the professor, but above the rest of the students, you're regarded more highly by your professors. And that could contribute to your grade. It depends on the professor, but it will contribute to a very minute percentage of your grade, if any at all. So, this is how we were evaluated in pre-med. I might make a follow-up video telling you guys about how we're evaluated in first year and second year, so that you guys know all the tea, so that you guys are properly prepared. The most important message I say that you guys should take away from this is try not to fail. Like, it's not worth it if you fail just one subject and then have to repeat the whole year. Just try not to fail. If you can get a 3 in all subjects or more, great. Try not to fail, bro. Like, you don't need to fail. If you need help, ask your monitor, friends of yours who are doing better, or your teachers, your professors. Ask first year students, ask second year students, students in grades above you, ask anyone. There are so many sources of help. You guys will do great. Just keep that in mind. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for my next video next Monday. If you enjoyed the video, like it, give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more content, comments, anything, like literally anything you want to say, just say it. This is an open space, open community. And see you guys next time. Bye.